Hi everyone, it's Ellie with Tell Me More, and in this episode I'll be talking to senior Jacinia Nieves Marrero about her experience with having a therapist outside of school and what she has learned about herself and the people around her. We'll be hearing about what she would tell people about therapy. Good morning. So, who am I here with today?
Jacinia.
So, when did you start going to therapy?
I started going around last August.
How often do you go to therapy?
I go once a week, usually.
Did it fit within your schedule, or did you have to modify your schedule?
It's pretty flexible. I can schedule whenever I want.
What are your favorite parts about going to therapy?
I feel like it's just helped me become better, as a person and a better friend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe your experience going to therapy for people who don't go to therapy?
I feel like it's definitely been a positive experience overall. I've just learned a lot about myself and other things that can help me.
Yeah. Has it learned how you should act and speak?
I mean, not necessarily how I can act, but just how I can apply different strategies, so to speak, in scenarios that I actually am in that might stress me out or something like that.
Yeah. What do you do at therapy?
Well, I obviously tell her my problems. I tell her things that might be bothering me, emotions I might be feeling that might confuse me, and she helps me figure things out and make everything make sense, and also make me realize I'm not a bad person for feeling things.
Yeah. What have you learned from going to therapy? Wait, let me restart. What have you learned from going to therapy?
Well, I've learned several coping strategies for anxiety, or just things that can help me get motivated. Also, there's things I've learned in my for my friendships, I'd say. Sometimes, you can get upset with your friends, but that doesn't mean it's the end of the world, and it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. How has therapy helped you grow as a person?
I feel like it's helped me grow. I'm more aware of other people's emotions and how they might react to something I say. Just because I'm feeling a certain type of way doesn't mean that I should be projecting that onto other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend therapy to somebody else, and why?
I would definitely recommend therapy to literally anyone, because it's just, even if you don't have issues going on, it's helpful just to be more mindful of everything, honestly.
Yeah, just someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a negative stigma around therapy?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone thinks that going to therapy means you're crazy or something, and that's absolutely not true.
You're hearing visions, seeing things.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. How would you say you have combated that stigma?
I mean, personally, I just don't really care what people think, so It's never really been something I've struggled with.
Yeah. Do you think there's definitely stereotypes around therapy?
I mean, I feel like people, when they think of therapy, they're you're laying there on a couch and you're just yapping about all your problems,
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of what therapy is, but it's a lot more helpful than just and how did that make you feel?
Yeah. Are there any activities or things that your therapist has you do outside of going to therapy?
Yeah, she's had me think of certain things that have maybe made me feel a certain emotion that we were talking about during that session, or things like that, and how it's coming about or something.
Yeah. Is your therapist on the younger side or the older side?
Yeah, she's younger. I would say she's in her mid-20s.
Yeah. Do you think that's helped since she's closer in age to you?
Definitely. I feel like she's just more relatable, honestly,
Yeah.
and it feels like she actually understands.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a lot of friends with therapists?
I do have a couple, but not all of them or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's better that your friends have therapists?
We're all just more emotionally intelligent. I hate to say it.
Yeah, because I feel like it's harder for people in other friend groups who don't have anyone with therapists because, as like I mentioned before, there is a negative stigma around it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
How do you think the school can do like a better job at making that stigma like lessen?
I'm not sure, honestly. I feel like just it's normal, and I feel like it's not really the school that has to do anything about it. Just everyone has to be more accepting just in general.
Do you think the school should incorporate more like mental health awareness-based activities, like how they do the mental health lessons?
I feel like it just depends on the activity because we all know that we don't. The mental health lessons are a little hard to get through.
Yeah.
But I get that they're doing their best to incorporate it.
Overall, what are the main reasons you seeked out therapy?
Well, I was having a lot of anxiety, honestly, and just like issues,
Yeah.
you know, personal issues that I feel like were definitely better to speak to a professional than to just like stay in my own bubble and let it, you know,
Yeah.
be open to going to therapy because it is helpful even if you like are afraid to tell someone about your issues. Like it's obviously confidential. They're not going to go telling people your secrets. And it's really not that big a deal and it's great. So,
Yeah. What was it like when you first started going to therapy, like connecting with your therapist and like being able to trust them?
it was hard. Like there's definitely some things that like I knew that eventually I would have to tell her, but I was like I'm going to wait until I feel more comfortable. So
Yeah.
like I would just tell her things about my day and stuff like that in the beginning because it was just easier. And then once I felt more comfortable, it just like came out.
Yeah. Do you look forward to going to therapy every week?
I would say it is something that I look forward to because especially if I've had like a stressful week in the past, like I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I can go talk my stuff and tell her all about it and she can tell me like that's valid that you're upset or whatever it may be. It's definitely helpful.
Yeah. Does your therapist just like welcome conversation or does she like focus on certain topics when you're talking to her?
I feel like it depends on the session, honestly. Some sessions will talk about like what I told her because usually I just like break down what's happened the past week. And other times like we'll focus on a specific memory or like event or feeling and just like break that down. And yeah.
Because I was wondering when it's like talking about lighter topics versus darker topics. Like, can you describe your experience with like the difference?
I feel like there's some things that we can obviously laugh about in therapy, like some things that is like, that's so weird. Like, why did that happen? But other times that's like, oh, that's serious. And we're obviously like, it's a different mood, but
Yeah.
we're still able to talk about it no matter what.
Yeah. How comfortable would you say you are talking to friends and family about your therapist?
I mean, I honestly talk about her all the time.
Yeah.
I tell them like things that she's told me like all the time, honestly. I just will, it's honestly helpful even for my family and friends because I'll tell them things that she's taught me. Like that it's honestly even helpful for like my family and friends because I'll teach them things that I might notice that they're struggling with that I also had been struggling with, and she maybe helped me through something similar or something like that. When she like tells me things, it feels like specific to the situation I'm in, or like she'll be validating like what I'm going through or what I'm expressing.
Would you say it was easy for you to like get a therapist? Like the process of trying to find one?
I feel like it's not hard. It's hard to find a therapist that you like, though. Well, not necessarily hard for everyone, but for me, it was a little bit.
Yeah.
I had 2 therapists before,
Oh, really?
and I definitely did not feel as comfortable as I do now with my current therapist. I feel a lot more comfortable with her. It might just be like the age thing, like we talked about.
Yeah.
It's definitely helpful that she's closer to my age, because it just feels like, oh, okay, there's not that much of a disconnect. You know what I'm saying?
I want to ask, like, what does happen when you end up not liking your therapist?
I mean, it's not that I didn't like my previous therapist. It's just that, it sounds weird, but the vibe wasn't we just weren't vibing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You didn't click.
Exactly. Like, it's kind of similar to, like, you have to find the right person for you. You have to find the right therapist for you. Like, my past therapists, I feel like they weren't necessarily relating maybe to my issues. But my current therapist, she's also Hispanic. Like,
oh yeah,
we can speak in Spanish and in English, and she just gets it.
Yeah. What's an example of a time your therapist like related to something you were saying?
Well, okay. I have really strict parents, and as I said, she's also Hispanic. So we both relate in that aspect, because I've told her, like, about things that my parents are strict about, and she's like, yeah, girl, like, I get that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And to finish this podcast episode off, is there anything you want to let people know about, like, having a therapist and, like, what all it involves?
I feel like you just have to be open to the process, open to going to therapy, and it really is just about being open-minded, just in general. Just don't be so in your own bubble about it. It's going to be okay.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
This has been Ellie with Tell Me More. Thanks for listening.